Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're on the dance floor, the Unlaced podcast. I tell you what, it's been a big year and it's getting even bigger. For everyone that's been following all our recent episodes, I can't thank you enough. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. If you've come back, you know I love you. So today's a very big episode, though. A very big episode because this is a personal friend and a good mate. And before I go into who he is and why he's so big in this country and so profound in his sport, one of the moments we actually connected was when you caught your first fish in the Gold Coast, Jason Mallia.
That's a moment I'll never forget. I'll cherish that moment forever.
Before we talk anything.
That broke the ice.
That broke the ice. We were fishing in the Gold Coast on the back of a dock where you were staying or whatever.
I don't know what the water was like 2 meters deep.
Yeah, it wasn't even like, I didn't even know there was fish in there. And
three fish and a stingray.
Stingray, 3 fish and a stingray in the space of like half an hour.
And no one caught a fish all day.
No one else.
Yeah. You're like, I'm over this, bro. Someone give me something else to do.
Oh, bro, but that was a special moment. I always feel like now whenever I see him, like it's a big
That's
moment.
my fish, mate.
As like a man. I was there when he caught his first fish.
100%.
Like he rode his first bite.
Training wheels are off.
Mate. Well, now, the reason why I love this man is not just because of the person he is, but this guy is one of the best and biggest amateur fighters that this country's ever seen. Now turned pro boxer, but over 100 amateur fights, which is fucking mind-blowing. A 5-time national champion.
Correct.
9-time state champion.
Correct.
And 3-0 in the pro ring, baby.
That's it. That's it.
Jason Mallia.
Yeah, so it's exciting times. It's all starting to roll out. You know, the pro career is nice to sort of get the ball rolling with. It's been a long process, man, but we're here now. So
yeah, fuck, man. It's crazy. I can't believe you... Like, I knew you had a lot of amateur fights. I knew how well regarded you were in this country. Like, people say you're like one of the best Australian amateur boxers ever.
Oh, that's good. I like hearing that.
Yeah. Like, literally, there's a lot of articles and people have said that. I've overheard say that. All your mates say it.
They have to.
They have to. But, like, when did you start doing amateur fights? Because to do 100, you turned pro last year, like 26.
Yeah. So, how it all started, when I was younger, my old man was a boxer. Right. And I guess, I don't know, I was always very proud to kind of follow his footsteps. But unfortunately, back in the day, he had 2 kids and it was like life was different. You had to work, you know what I mean? Like, so he had a dream that he couldn't pursue. So for me, it was like, I'm in a position where I've got a supportive family. You know, I'm going to really pursue my dream, but also his. So I had my first fight when I was 13. I ended up winning my first Australian title when I was like 14, you know? So I guess from being super young and like having that kind of recognition against your name, like I was proud. And it was a moment that I knew, like, I've got a talent here, you know what I mean? And like, obviously having the support of my family, my father, it was important to me that it was like, it doesn't end here. Like this is a beginning. This is just a stepping stone to something that I could become, you know? So ever since I was 13, bro, it's always been a very serious sport. Yeah. And I've taken it as if a full-time job.
Yeah, bro. You're like chips in. Like,
that's it. All eggs in, man. The basket's full, you know? That's the way I look at things. That's with a combat sport, you know, people talk about it all the time. If you are only 50% in, there's a chance of injury, a chance of getting hurt. You know, you're in with boxing and any kind of combat sports, and any sport, as a matter of fact, like if you are only half committed, you're not all in. Yeah. You know, you need to be there. Absolutely. And give it absolutely everything you've got. Otherwise, you're not going to get the most out of it.
Fucking true, man. It's very true. And speaking of like giving your all chips in, as we know, like you've obviously hurt yourself now. You got the elbow injury. So like, what's the latest with that? How's that been for you?
The elbow injury, I've dealt with it for a long time. For probably like the last 6-7 years, I've always had I've lost 35 degrees in my elbow. So like my extension on my left side, like it was just getting smaller and smaller. And boxing's an inch game.
So is that your jab?
It's my lead hand. Yeah. So it's my busy hand, you know?
I
can't get full range. So obviously with combat sports, like it's, an inch is the difference between hitting someone or missing someone. Yeah. It could be the difference between ending a fight or, you know what I mean, a blemish on your record kind of thing. So I guess for me, I dealt with it for so many years. I just had inflammation in the joint. And what happened was like being young, I was like, I'm young, man. It's all good. You know, the elbow was good. I didn't really need the surgery, but I got the elbow surgery to prevent any sort of like further discomfort. You know, there was times like after fights, I'm like, my elbow's sore. Yeah. So right now I'm 5 weeks post-op, and it's the hardest thing about it is the surgeon said to me it'd be about a 10-week recovery. And I'm like, man, what did you know? I'll be back in 5. But obviously he's done like his whole life is being a surgeon. He's smart. He knows his shit. Yeah. So the hardest thing is for me, like staying still. It's been really difficult, you know, like trying not to like add inflammation to the joint already. But look, I'm just hanging to get forward, bro. I'm hanging to get back into it. I can't wait to like, you know, continue the pro career and kind of let it blossom a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you, because I feel like it would be difficult for you to stop, because since you've turned pro, you've had 3 fights in pretty quick succession, and your 4th one was going to be not long after your third as well.
Man, I was booked in. I was booked in August 24th. Yeah. You know, like I said to my manager, I'm very lucky. I've got a good management team. So they kind of like, I've told them the deal. They know that I want to be an active fighter. Yeah. I'm not someone that just like fights every few months and like has a few months off at the end of the year. No. It's always been me. It's like an ADHD thing. You got to go for it. You know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean? I'll have a few days off post camp and I'm straight back into it. I just love it. I've always loved it. It's never been like a chore to me. You know what I mean? And the more success you get, the hungrier I am. And I'm like, it's the tip of the iceberg right now. Yeah. You got to go kind of thing, you know? That's the mentality behind it all. So like when I win something or something good happens, I'm like, we got to keep going here, because like sky's the limit kind of thing. Yeah,
bro. Do you know when I was like, fuck, because I've obviously been an athlete, but do you know when I knew you like had the glint in your eye and you were like, this is seriously what you want to do? When we're on, when we're on holiday in the Gold Coast, I think I came round to your house that day, and it was like, you were on holiday, yeah? It's like one of those days, I think you might have just finished your first pro fight. We were like going to have a few drinks that day and like celebrate. And I turn up to the house and I'm like, fuck, where's Jace? And I was like, oh, he's at the gym. Yeah. And bro, you just came back drenched in sweat after doing 12 rounds. And I'm like, bro, you're on holiday, bro.
Absolutely, man. But like, once again, it's like, it's embedded in me.
Yeah, like you can't, you know,
like exactly. And that to me, I was like, I kind of need to tick the box. If I'm gonna enjoy myself, like I need to make sure I'm ticking the box first. You know, the thing with boxing is like the longer that you're even though I was on holidays, I had just finished my first pro fight. It was great. You know what I mean? I was told to relax. My coach said relax, and I'm like, I just thought like, man, I'm going to go out and have a few drinks. Like I need to tick the box and like, I need to feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like earn the right. It's for me. I'm like, I'm like, I need to feel good about having a few drinks and stuff like that. And I've always been super dedicated like that. Like if I know that I've like post out of comp, I've had a big weekend or something like that. Like the mentality is like get back into it straight away, because you can't slouch, or having a few beers or something like that. Like I've got to earn the right to have them beers.
That's like a curse, bro.
Yeah, honestly, it works with me and it works against me a lot, you know.
Because I remember just thinking, I'm like, bro.
But it was like, man, it was like, okay, I've deserved these now.
Yeah.
And you know, like you have
but in my eyes, I thought you already deserved it without that morning session, because you just turned pro the last 2 years you had before Tokyo, everything like that, which we'll go into. Yeah. You're still there.
I was just like, man, like I think it was, even with other things, like it's just something that's embedded in me. Like you've kind of got to, I don't know, like training, even though if I'm not in camp, training doesn't stop for me. Yeah. Whether it's boxing, strength and conditioning, running, I genuinely thrive off it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I love sweating, and that's why it's been hard with the elbow, because like they just told me like chill for a few weeks, and I'm like, you're talking to someone that does not know how to chill. You know what I mean? Right. But it's embedded in me to just do these things and make sure that they feel good things to me. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
They make me feel after, as you know, once you exercise, you release all these endorphins. You feel good.
Feel great. Yeah. That's one of the things we speak about a lot with athletes, and I feel like with boxing, so much more powerful. That's why I always love boxing as like a fitness thing, because always the mental side, I always feel unbelievable mentally after it. And I always think when you feel like kind of comfortable in combat sports, it actually makes a difference to how you feel when you walk into a room or around the street and you're around people. Because like a lot of people are insecure, and then you start like getting taught how to fight or defend yourself. Yeah,
absolutely.
You feel confident. Yeah. But with you, from a mental aspect, how has it been slowing down with the injury? Like,
I've struggled the most with that, you know, but it's like, I think to myself, it is right now, it's like, if I don't slow down right now, it's just going to prolong my recovery, you know? And I keep telling myself like, you know, because my mentality was like, this is how my brain works. I was like, okay, my elbow is going to be out of action for a little bit. I'm going to run a marathon. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I was like committed to running a marathon. I think I got out of surgery on a Monday. By Friday, I was running. You know what I mean? And they told me like chill. And I'm like, I'm not using my arm, man. I'm running. I'm using my legs. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the jolting and stuff like that. And then I'm like, then I started to put this pressure on myself. I'm like, man, now I can't even run a marathon. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not even a bloody runner. But it was like the mentality of like being so busy to try and slow down. But now I'm at peace with that. You have to slow down, because it's like 6 weeks out of my life. Yeah. I've got another, how many years in my boxing career? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I need to just chill. Honestly, it was really hard to get to that moment though. Like I did struggle, and I had like many thoughts go through my head, but if you don't slow down now, I'm going to be pushed out even longer.
Yeah.
You know, so I've kind of come to peace with it.
Well, this was like more like a strategic decision for your career, just to fix it. So yeah, bro.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, man, the last few months. But I want to kind of go back for the people that don't know a little bit of how you got started, I guess, into fighting and all of that sort of stuff, but particularly like where you grew up as well, for those that don't know you.
Yeah. So I grew up in Laverton and obviously in the west side of Melbourne.
Mean streets, bro.
Mean streets. I back in Laverton, it was like a public school. Like, you know, I'm not one of them guys going to sit here and say my life was so hard. I had a good family. You know, I come from a good family. Where I hung around wasn't the most amazing place. I did get into trouble as a kid. You know, and that, I think the turning point was winning the Australian title for me. You know,
how old were you then? 14.
14. Yeah. You know what I mean? I went to a school. I hung around all older guys. I've always hung around a lot of older people. Yeah. And I hung around a few people that kind of just didn't make the right decisions and stuff like that. So once I remember having a conversation with my old man. The conversation was like, you know, you keep hanging around these people, or you're doing what you're doing. What are you going to do with your boxing career? And it was a pivotal moment for me. Really? It was like, yeah, absolutely. And even though I was young and probably, you know, I didn't have the brain to kind of understand what he was saying. I look back now and I'm like, man, like that was the turning point. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I hung around for a little bit longer and did my thing, but it was like I distanced myself from certain people who didn't provoke my career to kind of go the way it was. Like I said, I've been all in since a young age. Yeah. 16, 17, I was overseas traveling, boxing, like I was busy, you know, so it was that question for me. So obviously I grew up in the West and I've kind of had, it's been a journey so far. Obviously, like, you know, things have been wild over the last few years. But I think, the biggest thing for me was that turning point with the conversation with him. It changed everything for me. Powerful, you know, bro. And I honestly, I remember it like it was yesterday, the conversation. Really? I remember sitting down in my lounge room with him and I'd been in a little bit of trouble and I'd been like getting brought home by like police and stuff at a young age. And he just looked at me dead in the eyes, like, what are you doing? Like, you know, it's either one way or the other. Yeah. And it's true, man.
I feel like with me as well, when I was like 13, 14, when I moved to the AIS, that I was like, that saved my life in a way. Yeah. Probably absolutely. Like for you, man.
But you hang around, but that's the thing though, you hang around like you are a product of your environment. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's, you go to the AIS and I spent a lot of time there as well. And it's like you walk around, you're seeing athletes and stuff. Yeah. When I was back young at school, I was hanging around people that they kind of didn't have any direction, which is sad. But, you know, like you kind of make decisions and stuff that it goes off what other people are doing as well, you know? So until, like you said, like you hang around people, you go to the AIS, you're surrounded by athletes. Yeah. You just want to be the best version of you or the best. Like I'd go to the AIS as well and I'd be like, man, like he's eating fruit and veggies as well. I'm eating fruit and veggies. You know what I mean? Like that's the mentality though. Like it's even though it's a 1%er, like that's how it works for me. Correct. You know, and I'm a big believer you're a product of your environment, and if you can hang around with people that are like-minded, they're trying on the same vision as you, it just makes the path a little bit easier than obviously, you know, coming across what you come across.
Absolutely, man. When you started out boxing, did you have fear around it at all? And even now when you have fights, do you have fear going in? Or
maybe not fear. I guess for me, the mentality with boxing is like, because I've been doing it for so young, like from 12 to 13 years old, I've always been in an environment of like, obviously back then it was men in boxing was a lot more, women in boxing coming through now, and which is really busy, which is great. But back then it was all men. The women were really allowed to fight back then. So I was always in an environment of like, I was young, man, and I was hanging around dudes that had been in the game for a long time, you know? So I was always like, I had this mindset of like, it was normal. Fighting was normal. You know what I mean? Like to me, like when I tell people about like, you know, when I'm coaching people at the gym, fighting isn't wired in the human brain. Yeah. It's not, people don't wake up one day and be like, I'm going to be a fighter. Yeah. But when you hang around stuff from so long, it was like, I was embedded in my head that fighting was kind of normal. Right. I loved it, bro. There was nothing better chucking your mouth guard in, head guard on and just going for it. But it was, to me, it was like, you take certain things away from it. So fear is like, don't get me wrong, when pre-fight night, there's a million emotions going through your head. Yeah. A million, you know what I mean? I'll never be able to figure them out. But for me, like to this day, and it's a product of what I've done over the years, is I'm confident in my ability and I know what I've done before. And I fought I fought current world champions. I fought people that have been around the block, and that gives me confidence. You know what I mean? Like, I've been in there with the best before. no one's going to stop me. You know what I mean? Like I think like, I was doing this stuff when I was 13, 14. I'm 27 now. Like I got a base that's huge. I'm just waiting for the peak to get a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And that's how like my mentality is. I think to myself, like I've been there, I've done it. You know what I mean? This guy's got 2 arms, a heart, the exact same as me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, at the end of the day, I want it more.
Yeah.
I want it more than this guy wants it.
Yeah.
But that was the mentality around things, you know. Fear, don't get me wrong, there's always fear. There's scared. You don't know what's going to happen as soon as I walk in there. Can I get hit with the shot?
Yeah.
It's a million emotions, bro. But I pull myself back and I'm like, there's a lot of, you got to be present in the moment. You have to feel the emotion. You know what I mean? Like I can't bury it because it'll end up coming out in the ring. It's like you feel the emotion. It is what it is. And for me, a big thing that I have even tattooed on me, it's called effort over outcome. I heard that quote one day and I'm like, if I can control my effort, you know, like I can say to myself, like I need to win this fight because I need to go overseas, or I need to win this fight because I need to do this. I can't control that.
Yeah.
No one can control that. But for me, it was like, hey, if I control my effort, I know that my training camp, for example, has been, I don't stop training camp. I'm always doing training camp. My preparation never fails. Yeah. But when I come to the fight night, it's like I believe in my preparation and I believe in what I've done before, and that's my effort that will control the outcome. Yeah. You know?
It's almost like, when you leave no stone unturned,
absolutely,
you're kind of content with the outcome.
Yeah.
And you're probably more believing that you're going to win.
You back
like
yourself.
You want to win. Yeah.
You back yourself. If you know that you're not covering all the stones in training camp, or you're skipping things, like, man, doubt starts to run up, and it's like, you don't want them, man. Not before combat sports. Like, you have that little bit of doubt, man.
Well, I feel like with boxing, you can't have that.
Nah.
You can't have.
And like I said to you before, like, obviously prior to jumping on the potty, it was like, if you're 50%, you're going to get hurt. Yeah, you know what I mean? You can't, that 50% comes from the extra mile, you know what I mean? Doing that extra round or doing the extra kilometre with your run, whatever it may be. Yeah. Like if you haven't skipped anything, I'm very like OCD about training. Yeah. You know, what I've obviously followed a very strict program and stuff like that, but I can't miss anything, man, because it's like I've revolved my life around these things, you know? And even at the AIS, they were big on it. We used to do like 15 sessions a week, man.
Man, the boxers, it was scary.
So we used to do 3 sessions a day. So you do 7 a.m. A run, and then 11 a.m. weights, and then 4:30 p.m. boxing. So it was Monday and Tuesday 3 sessions. So you hit 6 sessions already. It was 6 people don't do 6 sessions in 2 weeks. Nearly. On Wednesday you'd have a rest morning, and so you'd take the weights off. So you just have boxing of an afternoon. So there's your 7 sessions, and then Thursday and Friday you do another 6. You know what I mean? It's mental, man. At the end of the week, I'm like, I'm skooked, man. I can't do anything else. Move. But I feel like being at the AIS, once again, the beauty of it was it built like this thing in me where it's like, this is the program. You got to follow it. You know what I mean? If you're skipping stones on the program, man, you're not going to get nothing out of it.
Absolutely.
So even like at the AIS, there'd be mornings where I was tired, man. Like my body would ache. But I've got like 10 other teammates on the team that we're getting up and we're going. Same. You know what I mean? You're a product of your environment. How you feeling, bro? You sore? Yeah, me too. Let's go. You know what I mean? That was like, all right, sweet. Yeah. Had to. So that's the mentality with my programs at home. I've got to do it. Even though I'm tired, I'm sore and fatigued, man, just get it done.
Bro, given and before we sort of jump into just a bit before you turn pro, but like through the amateur ranks and obviously all the great work you were doing, when was it that you kind of started getting like the attention of like, this guy's the real deal, there's so much potential, like the interest from like the AIS, which is, man, the AIS for boxing, like obviously that's been built around like the Commonwealth and Olympic Games and stuff, but like they don't pick anyone. Like the best male and now female boxers.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can find.
Yeah, it's a very confined space. You know
hugely.
What I mean? Like so back then you only take number 1.
It's a massive
competition.
Yeah, almost each division, right?
Yeah, so that was it.
That's it.
I think there's across maybe 12 or 13 divisions.
Yeah.
If you're number 1, you go. That's it.
Yes.
So
no number 2, no number 3.
So obviously when I was 13, I went to. So when I was 13, I had won my first Australian title. 14, and then what happens was that qualified me to go to the Junior Worlds. So there was a preparation camp at the AIS for the Junior Worlds, went to Kazakhstan. Wow. And then obviously coming home, once you're kind of recognised as number 1 in the country, you kind of go on camps and trips and stuff like that. So I was kind of always back and forth. But the moment for me that I kind of like, as a kid, don't get me wrong, like it was special and I was very proud to have that recognition. But as an 18, I remember it so clearly, I just turned 18. So obviously it goes schoolboys, juniors, youth, elite. So once you're elite, you're fighting, I'm freshly 18, I'm fighting men You know what I mean? So I just turned 18. So I think elite was 19 and above, but because of my birthday, it was something with my birthday, the way it kind of worked. I was like, I'll jump in the elites. I'd won the state title, and so you win obviously the Victorian title, and you go to the nationals. From nationals, you go overseas. I won my second Australian title, freshly 18 in an elite division. So you can win, like a lot of people have won Aussie titles as a junior and a youth, but they're amazing and take nothing away from them. But you kind of get recognised as an elite.
Right.
As an elite, you're fighting men. You're open now. You know what I mean? So and
you did that at what?
18. So the first year, my first year in an elite division, I ended up taking out the division. I had 3 fights in Perth, and I beat everyone. And that for me was like a moment that was like, okay, we're on here. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people have young success as a kid, but as a young adult male, like it was like, okay, we're taking off a little bit now.
Was that like almost self-realization then and validation for you that you can go, or did you already know that? It was just more you and now.
I knew, but surface level, you know, like as a kid, that was like I was fighting kids, you know, or young adults. But as an elite, as an old male, like there was guys that had been in the game for a long time. They're 30 plus, I'm 18. You know what I mean? Or sorry, higher 20s.
Yeah.
I ended up having 3 fights, and that was to qualify for the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Wow. And I ended up winning it as 18. I remember so clearly after my last fight. So once I had won the gold medal, my old man was there and he was crying, man. He was bawling his eyes out like in happiness. And Danny Green was there, and Danny Green actually grabbed my old man, hugged him, and pulled me away. He goes, "Look how happy you've made your old man." You know, it was a moment for me I'll never forget. And being young, so obviously that qualified me for the games, and that's obviously another story in itself. Yeah. But for then it was that moment I was like, okay, we got something here, you know. And then as an 18-year-old, it's different now. Like you're a young adult, you know. Life had got more serious, and it was like, okay, I'm not fighting kids anymore. Yeah. You have to prepare, bro. So you got men like, coming at you now.
Guys
with
like 40, 50 fights. Or
exactly. And I was young back then. I had a lot of fights as
so impressive,
dude. And it was kind of like the breaking point was like, okay, we've got something here.
Yeah, well, and this is why I think also because you're super resilient, not just with your training, but as we've kind of touched on, you had this elite amateur career, and obviously you've started off in elite fashion in the pro ranks, but it also had like a lot of heartache and heartbreak, particularly because a big part of the AIS and points boxing was to go to sort of those worldwide games. You know. I know you went to world champs and stuff, but like the Olympic games, the Com games, all that sort of stuff. Like how were those periods for you? And
look, you know what? I learned a lot about myself through those times, and it was a lot of self-reflection, but it was a building point. You know what I mean? So what happened was, to cut the story back, I won the 18. Being 18, it was a qualification event. So once you win the Australian title, it's either world champs, Olympics, world champs, Com games, and that's how that 4-year cycle kind of turns around. Right. So it was 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and I had won the division. So like straight away, my enjoyment was like my pride was through the roof. So I'm like, I'm qualified for the games. And then what happened was we went for a training camp. So I went to the AIS. I think it was for about 8 weeks. We had a training camp. So, and then like last minute, it was kind of like, okay, what we need to do is like. So we were all training, thinking we're going, and then my division had been dropped.
Oh, my God.
I remember we were on the line, so you'd line up and you'd speak to, obviously, it's like an army fashion. You'd on a line, hands behind your back, and the coach would obviously talk. And the coach pulled me and another guy away, and he's like, you know, I want to have a chat with you. And I just, man, my heart crumbled. I knew, man. And the boys on the team, they knew as well. Like, they pulled me, so I was heartbroken. And that was like one of the hardest things I've ever been through. 18, qualified for the games, it's been taken away from you.
Yeah.
And it was like a moment that I remember it, man. Like it makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. It killed me, you know. I remember that day I'm going home. So obviously in Canberra, I needed to fly to Melbourne, the worst flight in the world. I remember being in bed for like 2-3 weeks, man. Like as a young kid, I just dreamt of it, you know, and like being freshly 18, it was like maybe no one believed in me. I was the youngest on the team. Everyone had been a bit old. Everyone was the youngest on the team, except for Jai Bataille. He was a little bit younger than me.
Yep.
And it was just gut-wrenching. Like the hardest thing I've ever been through, man. But I remember like it took me a long time to go back into the gym.
Really?
Yeah. So I remember walking back into the gym maybe a few months later because the cycle, the games had been, I didn't watch not one of the games, couldn't watch them. Yeah, I turned the TV off, turned social media off, everything. I wished all the boys good luck, but I couldn't do it.
It's not personal.
And they understood that.
Yeah, I did
you
that
know,
too,
so I went home. Sorry, obviously once the kind of dust had settled, I tried to walk back in the gym and I put my gloves on, man. To be honest, it bawled my eyes out. I'm like, what am I doing, man? Like, it was eating me, man. So I'm like, stuff it. I'll get myself back up again. I started training. My coach, Cal Bryant, amazing man. Like he's helped me through some low times, and he rode the wave with me. You know, like we rode it together. So it was like I felt like obviously I had a support person.
Yeah.
Obviously my family and my friends as well, but like they couldn't be with it with me. They didn't understand.
They can't speak the boxing language.
They didn't understand what I'd been through and how I tried to get there and like the end result.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, I obviously got back into training. I was like, you know what, I'm young. Like it kind of shows me where I belong. That was the mentality. I'm like, I belong here, man. I'm fresh at 18. People know about me now. Like, you know, end up winning the state title the following year to go back to the nationals. I think, so it might have been a dead year actually. So there was a year where there wasn't actually a qualification process. So then it got to like 2014, the end of the games were towards the end of the year. 2015 rolled around, it was a dead year. There wasn't nothing there. It was just the national titles. And then the 2016, obviously the 2016 Olympic Games, Rio. I'd won all my fights up to the final. And what happened was in the final, I'd fought this guy named David Biddle, and I was like, everyone, like after the fight, had my hand up. Everyone's like, yes, 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 yes. And then the decision went the other way. Oh. And look, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I'm not a sour person. If I lose, I lose. Yeah. I cop it on the chin. It is what it is, you know? Like,
boxing though,
that's boxing though, you know? And it was just, David actually walked across, and props to him for doing this. He walked across the ring, held my hand up and said, he fucking won. Oh. He won. You know what I mean? And it was just like, man, like, I was like, man, the games for me, they're gone now. Like, then I'm starting to have some serious doubts. And they're like, long story short, I kind of got myself back again. So I'm like, I'm young, man. I'm keep coming back.
So at this point, did you kind of delay turning pro because you missed
Man, I delayed
Rio?
Turning pro because I wanted the Olympic Games.
Yeah, that's what I thought, right?
I wanted the Olympic Games more than anything, man. Yeah. Like, I had spaces on my body. I'm like, I'm not tattooing there because I'm the game, the rings are going there, you know? Bro. Like, everything. It was drilled into me from a young kid. It was instilled I was going. I used to have in my bedroom, I used to print out Olympic Games signs, have it on the back of my door, on the toilet door, little things, man, like quotes around my room, you know? Like, it was just, I was in it for that. Bro. That's why I was like, it was never about, like, in the amateurs you don't get paid. It was never about money or nothing like that. I told everyone I was going. I'm like, I'm going to the Olympics, you know? And everyone, like, even at school and my friendship group, everyone's like, no, he's training for the Olympics. People knew it. So it was hard. And then I'm like, obviously I waited around for 2020. You had to wait another 4-year cycle.
Yeah, but it was almost 5 with what happened with Tokyo? They started later. Tokyo had been like a longer road. Anyway, to go back a little bit more, I went to 2018 was for the Com Games in. Is that in Goldie?
Goldie, correct. Yeah.
Gold Coast.
So I'd won all my fights again, got to the final. Anyway, there was a rival that's always been we've always kind of fought each other in the finals. He was from South Australia, and we met each other in the final. In the first round, I think it was like 10-9. I beat him. Second round, he threw a punch, missed, and he come over and he headbutted me and he split my eye. So what happens in a fight? Usually, if it's an accidental head clash, what happens is they stop the fight. They go to the scorecards.
Oh, so then and there, the winner.
Then and there, it's the winner. And I knew I had been up because I've got a photo of the scorecards. But there was a rule that was like, if you do get a head clash, you can't continue to the next round because you're injured. I still can't fight, but it was the final.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Bro.
So they took it away from me again, man. And I was like, I've got a photo of the scorecards. Anyway, there was a long back and forth thing, but I'm like, man, I'm fighting a losing battle here, you know? And then obviously, fast forward to, it was heartbreaking, man. Like, I'm like, man, why? Like, I'm so close. Like, I've been here before. Like, why is this happening? Yeah. I couldn't even control it, bro. I was up on the scorecards. I got a head clash. You know what I mean?
I feel like almost a few times, even the last one, I was like, bro, what if it was out of your control with COVID,
you
bro?
Know? So, and even like, man, it started like, it erupted in boxing Victoria because everyone was like, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? But it was like, at the end of the day, I had to cop it. Yeah. And fast forward to 2020, I was like, I had won I can't remember going back now. It might have been my 4th Aussie title. I qualified for the World Championships. I qualified to go to Russia, so for the World Championships. Yeah. And beautiful experience, man. Like, obviously preparation camps. I was like, same thing. I'm like, I'm not watching the games, bro. Turn the TVs off. Support the guys that were there because I knew them all, but I'm not watching it. Couldn't do it. Next year rolled around, ended up winning the Australian title again, and it was to qualify for the World Championships. And I'm like, this is amazing. You know, it's starting to unravel a little bit here.
Is that
now.
as high regarded as like Olympics at that level for boxing?
Well, you got the best in the world.
It's the same thing.
The way it's a bigger pool. So you've got in the World Championships, a lot more people can go. In the for the Olympics, you got the same pool, but you got the same people,
just less.
But the pool less. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of like fine tune things.
Right. Okay.
So I went to Russia, was over there, had a preparation camp with AIS, all that kind of jazz. It was amazing. I fought. I can't remember his name. He's from. He was an Olympic silver medalist. I'm having a blank, but he was a Cuban boxer that had moved to Azerbaijan. Right. So he had boxed as a Cuban.
The Asian conference.
Yeah. So he'd boxed as a Cuban his whole life.
Jesus.
I think what happened was a little bit of background on him was he'd won the silver medal. And then once you lose at their national squad as a Cuban, they kind of like forget about you. It's either you're the best or you're not even there. Yeah. So he'd moved to Azerbaijan. So I fought the Azerbaijan guy. And he beat me on a split decision. But it was like a lot of people were like even a lot of, when I walked back into the rooms, a lot of guys were like, that was the most bullshit decision. They only thought the reason why he'd got it was because of the record he had. Right. You know what I mean? I hit him with every shot in the book. Yeah. But unfortunately, I still come out in the race. But it was a learning curve. You know, I copped it on chin. I learned a lot from her. That meant that after the World Championships, the qualifications for the Olympics, which was Tokyo, were right around the corner. So it was like there was no break. I'd kind of come home, had like a week or two like deload, and then preparation camp again for Tokyo. Yeah. I'd won, that was my 5th Aussie title. I'd won that for the Tokyo. So I'd won everything. So the qualification event was like good. So you're now represented as an Olympic hopeful. So there was obviously the team of, I think it was about 15, including the females as well. I was an Olympic hopeful. So now I was out of Australia. The next competition was Asian Oceania Games. Right. So all the Asian and Oceania Games, you get to go to the Olympics, you get 2 chances. One chance is in your continent, Asian and Oceania. The second one, so obviously all the other continents. The second, if you don't make it, I think you come top 4 in the division, you qualify. Right. If you don't qualify in the first event, you have a world event. So it's like it's the guys that didn't make it all around the world. Right. You come together and then it's like top 10, you know? So I went to, so long story short, we went to India for 4 weeks for a training camp. And then the qualification event was in China where did COVID start?
What was it called?
Wuhan was where the event was.
What?
Yeah.
Were you there pre-COVID, Wuhan?
So when I was in India, we had found out about a fish virus. Yeah. And I'm like, So we're like, we're ready to fly over to Wuhan. And everyone's like, the World Health Organization, they're losing it. They're like, don't fly there. So the whole qualification event got canned. So we flew back to Melbourne. So I spent 4 weeks in India, flew back to Melbourne. I think it was there for 2 weeks. And they're like, nah, we're going to reschedule it to Jordan. And so then what happened was team packed up. Again, I was home for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Team packed up. We went to Thailand for 2 or 3 weeks. We stayed in Sambura, I think it was called. It was unbelievable, kind of like deserted. There's no one there.
Is this like almost like the Australian boxing team? It's not just you and your training team, right?
It was everyone. It was everyone. It was a team. So it was about 15 of us plus coaches. There was about 20 of us maybe a little bit less. So we went to Thailand, and then from Thailand, we had flew to Jordan, and it was obviously COVID was spreading rapidly, but it was still such early days, man. It was 2020 March,
so it
was like nothing was kind of like no one kind of knew what was going on. Yep. You know what I mean? But we knew that there was something spreading rapidly around the world, but we didn't know what it was. So we flew to Jordan. In Jordan, we had 2 weeks there. I fought the Iraqi boy. I beat the Iraqi boy on a unanimous decision, and then my second fight, I fought the Jordanian boy in Jordan. So
if you don't KO and you can't KO,
I could have KO'd him and he still would have beat me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you can't. Can you knock that? You can't knock them out at that level, really, can you?
Well, like there is knockouts. Absolutely, there is knockouts. Flush shots always happen, but it's higher chance.
It's more points game. Right?
Yeah. It's chess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, chess. Correct.
So I'd fought. So in international level of boxing, you'd go to this big arena. There was 2 rings. Honestly, would have fit thousands. When no one from Jordan's fighting, there's like 500 people there, bro. Oh, no. You could just see seats all around. When there's a Jordanian boy fighting, the whole country comes. You know what I mean? So it was like when I had walked out, I could hear in the crowd the Aussie team supporting me. But when the Jordanian boy come out, it was like the whole crowd erupted. But I was like, didn't settle me at all. Sorry, didn't rattle me at all. We ended up fighting, and credit to him, he was strong. He come on strong from the first round. He didn't get me in a split. So that had meant my Asian Oceania was
you had
over.
to go to the World.
So I had to go to the Worlds, you know. He ended up qualifying for it. He ended up beating that fight was to qualify.
Right.
So he had beat me to qualify for the games.
That's stiff in his home turf. Why don't they give you a packed Marvel Stadium here?
I know. It would have been different.
Bro.
Exactly.
Bastard.
Anyway, long story short, we had followed, a few of the Aussies had qualified. So then we all went home, and COVID had like really had erupted now. Like it was a massive thing around the world. Obviously Melbourne, as you know, we were in lockdown now. So I remember coaches had said, like, just be patient. We'll get this. So we were supposed to fly to Paris. We were supposed to go. That's where the qualification, the last event was.
Oh, so they held it there.
They held it in Paris. Yeah. So that's where the location was. So I'd gone home. I'd kind of kept training a little bit but there was going to be a preparation camp. So we are going to go to the AIS for a little bit. And I think we were supposed to go to Spain for like 2 weeks before and then fly to Paris. Got like 2 or 3 weeks later post Jordan event, and I remember I remember going for a run one morning and then coming back, and the head coach of Australia, I had a missed call from him, and I'm like, fuck, that's not good, man. Like, it doesn't happen often, you know. Anyway, so his name was Kevin Smith, and we call him Coach. I'm like, hi, Coach, how are you? And he pretty much just said to me bluntly, like, the Paris event's been cancelled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, if you didn't qualify in Jordan, unfortunately, you don't get to qualify. And I'm like, that's my dream gone. I'm like, I had worked, that phone call just like rattled me.
So that was it after that?
That was it. I couldn't even qualify again. I didn't even go to Paris. I couldn't get there. Paris was like crazy with COVID.
Yeah, that's right.
Paris was one of the worst places there was with COVID numbers and stuff. So it was a hard pill to swallow, man. I was like, man, I've won all these titles and stuff, but like I have nothing to show for it. Not that I didn't have nothing, sorry, but like that was the mentality. You
wanted to show the world.
I wanted to show the world, and the Com Games, Olympics, like I'd kind of been this close, bro.
Yeah. Fuck.
And it was the hardest phone call I reckon I've ever had, like hearing that the whole event was off. You know what I mean? Like there was a few Aussies that were in the same position as me. Some qualified earlier, but some didn't. And it was like, I didn't even get a chance to prove myself, you know? And I'm like, so obviously all the top guys out of all the continents had already qualified. So I was going in, like I had a good hot rating. I was like, so I think it was like the way it worked, if you were like 20th in the world or something like that, I just missed the qualify. I was out by like a few
So they were
spots.
just going to pick the next best by rankings?
By rankings, so by points and rankings, and I just missed out by like 2 or 3 spots. You know? Oh man, it was but I'm like, then now I'm like, I was 25, 26, 25, because I'm like, I want to turn pro at 25.
Yeah.
COVID literally just hung around, obviously, as everyone knows, for like two and a bit years, and like couldn't even do anything in Melbourne. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't even on the Aussie team anymore. I resented the amateurs for so long because I'm like, I've given it my all and I'm just being chewed up and spat out. So I kind of resented it a little bit. I'm like, I'm turning pro. I think my pro debut got cancelled like 3 times.
Yeah, I remember.
I was supposed to fight. I had 2 options, you know. It was
you were
like
in at the longest training camp ever.
Man, my training camp was like 6 months.
3, but honestly, it was ridiculous.
Legit. So what happened was I got home and I remember speaking to my support and I was so heartbroken. Like no matter what you said, you couldn't fix it. No one could fix it. There was no words that fixed that situation. I just had to kind of like live with it. And I remember my coach, he said to me, he's like, you got 2 options. You know, like option 1 is you fucking sit around and sulk and you want sympathy from everyone or you think, or number 2 is we turn pro, we make people know who you are, people, you know, we make a situation out of this now. And I'm like, you know what, I'm not that guy. I'm like, I'm not going to sit around and fucking want people to feel sorry for me. I'm going out to get what's next for me now. Like it was like I'd closed the book, the chapter was done.
So you didn't like sit there and dwell too much. You were straight
I did.
up.
Don't get me wrong. I did, man.
Okay.
Like, and it still burns me to today.
Yeah.
Like I still, when people talk about it, like it never will, man. I had nightmares about it. You know.
Yeah. So what was the formula for you to get your head back like into that mindset of like, oh fuck this, we're going to go pro. We're going to.
It was like close the book. And like, a lot of people had like kind of messaged me before. I've got a very pro style. I like to sit and bang a little bit, you know? Like people know when I come to fight, you know? So in the pros, it was like you fight with 8-ounce gloves, you kind of suit that style. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to sit around and dwell on it, man. I can't. Like I'm not that person. I've got to get back up. And I had very good support that people were like, you know, like get back up, keep going. like really make something out of it. I had a lot of good people that supported me back then.
Right.
And I ended up turning. They had made this big fuss about me because I was turning pro, which was great.
I remember. It was like the greatest fucking amateur boxer ever.
Yeah, a lot of articles, a lot of Instagram stuff. It was crazy. It was blowing up. I think it was like June 9th or June 9th, the first one, and like was training, bang. Like I think it was 9 days. So we kind of got out of a lockdown, and then we were supposed to go into it, and then we ended up. A few days prior, they're like, and I'm like, man, I'm cutting weight like mad.
Yeah, I remember.
You know what I mean?
Bro.
So I had fought at 69 in the amateurs. As a pro, I went down to 66. I struggled to get to 69 as an amateur. Like, in the difference is in the amateurs, you fight the same day. In the pros, you have 24-hour weigh-in.
Yeah.
I was depleted as, bro. And they told me, I'm like, fuck, like. Anyway, so they said we'll do, I think it was like a few months later. And I'm like, all right, cool. Might have been like maybe September or something like that, like, at the top of my memory. Same thing. Didn't really stop training camp. Had a bit of a deload week. Then kind of went again. You know what I mean? Same thing happened. Lockdown. Can't do it. I'm like far out. Like
Jesus, man.
Everything was turning against me. Like,
I'm like, you're still training?
And it was everyone said to me, "You'd be so fit." Wasn't the case.
It's the mental exhaustion.
It was like, as an athlete, as you know, like you build, you peak, and you come down. So it was like I'd build, I'd peak. I'd come down a little bit and then build. So I'm burning the candle at both ends here.
Yeah.
I'm tired, man. People were like, towards the end, I'm like, I'm resenting it.
Yeah.
But so obviously that the third time that it had kind of come through, then it was like, oh, the third time we're kind of here. You know, we're going to get,
Yeah.
I had got to December 11th and we finally made it. Thank God.
It was a fucking hell of a night.
Thank God. I had a lot of people there as well. It was good.
Bro, yeah.
And a lot of pressure now as well because everyone's like, I want to see this guy fight. We've had that many times to see him. It's been cancelled,
like this guy, man, he's ducking fights.
But once I obviously got the win, I was like, man, it was like a weight. I could like, then obviously like I had a weight off my shoulders, man.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can relax. Like,
you're so
I can go again. And then I ended up fighting again I had obviously New Year's. I ended up going again in March. And then I think my last one was May.
Yeah, you fought like 3 in 6 months.
Yeah, I tried to go straight away.
With bang, which I love, man, because I think it's like some of the best boxers in the world. Like it's like now when you get to a certain point, it's like a money thing. It's people duck and weave. They fight twice a year. And it's like, fuck, bro, fuck that. Well, actually, before we go into the pro ranks, because I do want to talk about, because I've been to, I think, 2 out of your 3 fights. Yeah, 2 out of your 3 fights. But a lot of people might not know about you, but like a bit of a sophisticated businessman as well. And it probably was around the time with the Olympics and some of the heartache there that your gym, Crew Fitness, which is obviously well known around our city, was being developed. But what was sort of the mindset behind that and the concept and what sort of made you want to get in that space?
I'd been in the industry. I started work real young. I used to be a PT at like 15, 16 because the boxing had kind of like formed me into like, you know, trying to like push what I love onto other people, you know what I mean? It was a blessing that I had boxed for so long, and then I tried to be like express my boxing, and I loved weight training, so I ended up working at a gym and developing like a little bit of a obviously a background in personal training and stuff like that. And obviously, long story short, after the Commonwealth Games 2018 loss, I ended up moving to London. So I had worked for a PT in the background to support my boxing and whatnot. And then I ended up moving to London for 4 months. And over there I lived in a boxing gym. So I was over in North London in Islington, who like they're the greatest people ever. I'm welcome back with open arms. But I would literally open my bedroom door, the ring would be there.
Whoa!
Yeah. So I spent 4 months over there in London. I had 7 fights over there. Loved it. I learned a lot, man. Learned a lot. And anyway, previously, I'd been working, obviously, with my mate Damon Falzon. We'd been in the exact same situation. He would be a PT as well. I'd be the PT as well. And we'd built this brand, you know, and it wasn't even Crew Fitness back then. It was kind of like he worked for himself, I worked for myself, but they ended up joining forces. Right. And that's how Crew was made. So we opened in August 2019, and then the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, crazy time for business. Bro.
Yeah, crazy. And then the lockdowns was like unbelievably challenging. And then we ended up very lucky. We landed a location in Hoppers Crossing, and we opened December 11th, which was the exact same day that I'd made my pro debut. You know,
shit.
Life was stressed. I was getting pulled from all angles, but very lucky. I had some good support systems to help me and people through the build, like, you know, family. I had a relationship that helped me at the same time. You know, friends, family, everyone helped me. It was great. But we'd built everything all the way up in the last week. I'm like, man, I'm so dehydrated. And I'd literally go to help. My cheeks are sucked in. I'm like, oh, bro, I can't even do this. But the last week we had got it over the line. Yeah.
Bro, I just want to describe this place for the listeners. It's like kind of like these warehouse sort of gyms, but they've got like most unbelievable equipment that's built on like classes and atmospheres, and the music's bouncing, the coaches are talking, people are in there. Then you've got recovery studios, Pilates, cafes. Like it's like a modern day.
Yeah. The thing about it is, like for us as an athlete, it was always like you'd go to a gym, like I go 10 minutes down the road to do recovery.
So, yeah, dude,
you know what I mean? I want to go 10 minutes down the road. I want to do Pilates. I want to work on my mobility. Yeah. Why not have it all at once?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that was the kind. And I'm like, man, I don't want to go elsewhere for my coffee, bro. I want to come to the gym. I want my coffee at the
gym. Bang.
That's it. So it all kind of intertwined, and that's we obviously built like an incredible place now, and it's only just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, man. I'll shout out to also the Crew Fitness Christmas parties, because apparently they are one of the best parties in Melbourne. Yeah. So I've been told. Never been there. Supposed to go last year, but apparently so.
You missed out.
Yeah, I always miss out. But for me, I don't know if this would help your boxing, but if maybe before I go into that, like how do you manage? Obviously, you're so focused on boxing and your training, but then you've also like you're up early, you're running classes, you're bouncing between a couple of the gyms you have. Yeah. Like how are you managing that?
At first, it was very tricky. So when we first started Braybrook, myself and Damon, it was like a fob system. So like there was no alarm system at the gym. So what would happen was like I would work from 5 a.m. to like 12, because we're an all day gym. We're open from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Yeah. So I would open at 5 a.m. I'd stay there till like 1 o'clock. Damon would come from 1 o'clock and he'd stay there till like 9:30, 10. It was a big day, man. I'm like, man, I'm struggling. We ended up finding to get a fob system. So like, now it's keeper. So like after your class, you could go home. Right. But in terms of like management, stress-wise and stuff like that, it was hard. I struggled with it a lot at the start. Yeah. I think it's just about the communication and bouncing off things off people. Like we have certain roles that certain people do. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was just like delegating. If I'm not good at something, delegate it. You know what I mean? Making sure that like if you try and take on too much, like it's just, you get flustered. Yeah. So like I delegate things and try and like, okay, you're good at this, you do this, and we complement each other in the right ways. You know what I mean? And now the team's huge. We've got nearly
how many? We've got a lot of employees,
20 to 25 people that work for us. And
it's incredible.
Everyone knows their role. People like, they're so helpful, man. And like, you know, it gives us a little bit more time to like overlook the business, see what we can do. But when you're working flat stick and training flat stick, it's hard because you're like this.
Yeah, tunnel vision.
But when you can step back a little bit, people work for you. I have good trainers. I have an amazing team. Yeah. I can now like focus on the outsider thing. We still work a lot, but I will never stop. I love it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I love it, man. I love being in the gym. But all the other stuff, like we've got a full-time manager, like she does all the background stuff that we used to do, and everyone delegates, you know?
Does that help now for like instance when you're injured and stuff? Like gives you something to. Sometimes I found when I'm fucking can't play soccer or whatever at the time.
Yeah, you change your focus. Yeah, I lose focus a lot. Bro. But for me, it's like, okay, I can't focus on boxing at the moment. I'm going to focus on work.
You're still up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. running classes.
Yeah, exactly. Still doing what you can, you know. Yeah. Like but I'm like I've always got to have something to do. You know what I mean? Like I said before, it's like I'm always on the go. Yeah. So when I can't do boxing, it's like, okay, work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think one of the things for me as well, I think we spoke with Chris about this, Braden, is, and because you've been so ingrained in Oz boxing for so long, do you find that like Australian boxing's coming back? Like obviously the early 2000s, late 90s, it was fucking booming in the Mundine Greens, like Costa all those kind of guys. But now it's like
it's booming, man.
Everyone wants to watch the fights. Kambosos, you know?
Yeah. Oh, there's some incredible fighters around the country, man. Like people have done a lot. Obviously, George Kambosos is the hottest property at the moment, and he's ingrained. Will obviously go down in the history books. He's done an incredible job. Good on him. Like you know, and that's what it's about, man. Creating a future. And he's done it. He's done the hard work, you know. And it's like, as younger athletes, like, man, I look at that, I'm like, man, that's goals, you know. Like, and right now, Australian boxing is booming. There's some incredible fighters coming around.
We were speaking about this actually before we jumped on. I want to get your opinion on it on here because I think it's really interesting what you said. But even though as talented as you are and as talented as other boxers are, like, how important is it to sell fights?
Yeah.
Like, how important is it for you to be recognized for sponsorship for fighters? Yeah. Is that almost as important as your skill set?
As in the amateur, the way I look at my boxing career is like, in the amateur is my apprenticeship. You know, that's where I've done the building. You know what I mean? In the professionals, it's like, okay, now I've got to sell it. Yeah. I've sold people know I can fight. Yeah. You know what I mean? But in the pros, it's different. In the amateurs, man, you're in there for 9 minutes, you're in, you're out, you win, you go. You're on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just turn over so quickly, man. I had 4 or 5 fights a week sometimes. But in the pros, it's a training camp for 8 to 10 weeks, whatever it may be, and then like your 6 to 8 rounds or whatever it is. It's a show. People are coming to support you. People are coming to watch you. You've got to sell it. You know what I mean? And that's why it's important. Like, you know, you got to be confident in the brand that you've got. And I've always had Team Mallia since day dot. Yeah. You know, the day I started, I'm like, that's my last name. We're going for it. You know what I mean? As people know that, like, on all of my shirts, people buy the merchandise, it's Team Mallia stuff. So when I hit the pros, it was like I built the brand a little bit, but it was still very, very early. You know what I mean? You got to continue to lean on people, sponsorships. Like, it's hard as an athlete, man, as it is. You know what I mean? Like boxing, you're not making millions of dollars in your first few fights. No. You know what I mean? Like you're starting a few little, a grand here, a grand there, whatever it may be, you know, chucking out random numbers, but you got to build. And that's the way I look at it. As like, I've built the brand in the amateurs, my apprenticeship. I've done my apprenticeship. Now I'm going into the real world kind of thing, you know, and I've got to really sell myself. You've got to be out there a little bit, you know, like there's some, you know what, man, I've seen incredible fighters that don't sell themselves, that don't get the recognition.
That's what I found interesting when you say that, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you find that hard? I mean, naturally you're like a good speaker, you're pretty outgoing. Everyone knows you're a boxer, but like, is there still an element of like, that's fucking hard for you to do? Like,
yeah, because you got to put yourself out there, you know, like realistically, if it was easy and it goes off your record, you just sit back and let it all unfold in front of you. But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You know, there might be times where you got to call people out, or you have to kind of like make a stand for yourself. I'm calling out all the wild twats in Australia. You know what I mean? That stuff sells, man. People are like, whoa, you see what he did? See what he did? And it creates conversation. Once this creates a conversation, there's a stigma around like, okay, this guy wants it.
Yeah.
You know, look at like Paul Gallen's amazing at it.
Yeah.
He's in from a whole career of NRL, but
making the most money in boxing.
Making the most money in boxing because he sells.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, his incredible sportsmanship has got him to where he is over the years, but like, he will tell you what he really thinks about you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's people on the TV are like, oh man, did you see that? Like, oh, it might even be the opposite way. People might be like, I don't even like him, but I want to see him get bashed, but then they watch him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like a catch-22 kind of thing, you know? But I've always said to myself, like, I'll never sell myself someone I'm not. I'll stay true to who I am, and that's important to me because I don't want to create an image where it's not me, and I don't want to carry it. I don't want to carry it for the rest of my career.
Because you could easily do that and probably do some stupid shit and sell some fights, but like at the same time,
it can blemish you.
Yeah, correct. Just speaking of that, because one person that I love in press conferences and I think is great and close to home is Kambosos. Obviously, I want to kind of go through the last fight and build into this second fight with Devin Haney because I know you had a ball at the first one with our good friend E. So shout out him, but. What did you make of that fight? Because you were there. You had fucking...
Yeah, well, I was Devin Haney's main sparring partner.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Didn't you get fucking... Yeah. That's right. Tell me about that, actually.
So how
that was amazing.
Was obviously, the fight had been pushed to obviously come to Australia, which is amazing for Australian boxing. And long story short, he come to Melbourne. So he was actually at the Team Atlas gym. So they hosted him kind of thing. And I've got a very good relationship with them due to the fact that I was fighting on their shows. Yeah. And I just think like I had seen him land and I had literally replied to one of their stories and I was like, oh, unreal, like that's so good. And then literally within an hour they called me. And so it was like, I think it was a Friday this time, bro. And I'm like, they're like, it was Friday. I'd already trained in the morning. I'd already done like my sprint session. Got to like 11. I had a meeting in the morning. I hadn't even eaten yet. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I'm not training it. I'm not sparring or anything. Like I'm going to go home and eat at like lunchtime. Call me like 11 and they're like, hey, can you be here at 2? And spar, and I'm like, we're like, we need some good rounds. I'm like, you've just dropped a bomb on me at like 11, but I'm like, what an opportunity. I'm catching it, I'm grabbing it, you know what I mean? So I went home, ate carbs, water, like drinking some coffees. I got there, sparred really well. So he wanted 10 rounds. He did 5 with me and 5 with another guy. Did 5 rounds and I got out of the ring and they're like, you know, this guy holds his own. He's good. He's done really well. He speaks for himself, speaks really well. And like, I was like, happy as for the opportunity. You know what I mean? I went there to learn, you know, and he was just, I knew that his speed and his timing was impeccable. You know what I mean? He was good. It was his first spar as well. And it had been my first spar since my last fight in May. I hadn't sparred for like 6-7 weeks, but I'm like, there's no way this opportunity is going to slip from underneath me. So we had sparred together, did really well, held my own really good. and I got called back 2 or 3 times. So I was his main sparring partner in Melbourne.
No way. Did he ever like speak to you about?
Oh, I spoke to him. He's a very humble guy, man. Like same thing, kind of sells an image that like, you know, I spoke to him. He was a gentleman. And one thing I said to him, I'm like, you know, welcome to Melbourne. Have you been able to explore? And you know, he was staying locally, bro. You would have thought he was staying in the city. He was staying locally.
Yeah, I know. He's staying in a house somewhere.
Yeah. So. He's like, nah, man, I'm not here for that. Like, I'm here for one thing. And I'm like, oh, like, you know, it wasn't even, the mentality for him wasn't even about going out and exploring Melbourne. It was about, can he come here to win? So I got to kind of obviously do a few more spars, and like, obviously pre-fight night, I was like, George is fantastic at what he does as well. Like he's a great boxer. He's got a lot of accolades, and his speed and timing, obviously, and his aggression he's known for. Everyone kept asking me like, whose side are you on? I'm like, man, I can't not support the Aussie. I'm an Australian. You know what I mean? But I'm like, it's not going to be an easy fight.
Yeah.
It's from my experience with Devin. I'm like, he's coming out strong.
Yeah, because you would have had like perfect insight. So did you kind of see that? Not necessarily the way the fight went, but like, did you kind of see that Kambosos is going to be harder than
I knew it was going to be hard. I never thought I don't know, like even in my friendship group, we'd always have talk about it and stuff like that. I knew both of them are great boxers. You know what I mean? They're both, I think it was just like, I don't know, maybe Devin was a little bit smarter behind the jab. And when I say smarter, like when Kambosos fought Teofimo Lopez, Teofimo walked out trying to wreck him in the first round, got caught, and then Kambosos just schooled him. You know what I mean? So, one of the things was that Devin Haney said, we're going out, we're sticking behind the jab, and I was like, okay, so it's gonna be a chest fight the whole fight. Both of them are great jabs, both speed. So the whole fight, it was just like tit for tat kind of thing, you know?
It was a bit of a boring fight for a neutral, unless you're like a boxing enthusiast.
If you didn't understand boxing, people were like, people were like, that was boring. I'm like, dude, that was that was a chess fight, bro. Like, it was like hit and knock it.
It was art, bro.
Yeah.
It was art.
You know what I mean?
Like, that jab was unbelievable, that whole fight.
Yeah, exactly. So it was an incredible opportunity to obviously share so many rounds with him as well, but also like, you know, I was ringside as well. Shout out to E as well for the ticket.
Yeah, that boy.
But yeah, like obviously it was incredible. His training camp was super professional. Obviously when I was younger, man, I used to watch Floyd Mayweather on YouTube and stuff like that. And like they talk about like they have like all of them around the ring, man. Like he lands one jab, everyone's like, ooh, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro, didn't even touch me, you know what I mean? Like,
is that what they do?
Yeah, bro, yeah. So they have he has like an entourage. Yeah. It was just me and my trainer there, that's it. And they had like 15 Americans.
Bro,
but I loved it though, you know what I mean? I was there purely for the learning experience.
What an experience, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty special, bro. I feel like boxing is the only sport like where you can, at any level, you can be in the same environment as the world champion. Yeah. And you can get called in to fight. Like in soccer, like I can't just get a phone call from Ronaldo saying, hey, man, he just wants to go do some run-throughs with you. You know what I mean? That's why that's so special,
It was special, man. And it was like, it proved to me that was like another thing. It proved to me I belong on the world stage. Like I'm obviously early stages of my pro career, but like he's now the unified world champion, and like I held my own. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's gotta mean something.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And then obviously, the elbows kind of threw me out a little bit. But look, once I'm back, like it's the same mentality. Like I've got a lot to prove, and I'm coming back hungry, man.
I know that's going to put some fire in your belly as well, for sure. But just with the fight number 2, because I know you got to tilt with your hat to the Aussie. But more specifically, what would in your eyes George need to change to combat maybe what Haney?
Fight number 2, like obviously Devin Haney kind of won the fight with his lead hand. You know what I mean? He never really landed any big shots on George. It was just the accuracy and the time of the lead hand. So I think obviously being in the Aussie team, they're gonna do their research, and they're not gonna fight the same fight. So I think like for him, it's about like, I don't know, creating more movement and trying to like him, as opposed to him getting barraged with lead hands, reverse the role. You know what I mean? When someone throws a punch and you throw a punch, you kind of muck up what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? Maybe it might be first you lead off first instead of waiting to get caught with the jab. You know, but it'd be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I can't wait at all. It's going to be a hell of a fight. It's coming up as well. I'm surprised it's back in Melbourne. That just shows me actually I think
it's at Rod Laver.
Is it?
So I think it's at Rod Laver. So Marvel was obviously very big, but I don't think the top level was like full. So I think they've gone to Rod Laver. I think.
Do you know? Just as you say that before, because I want to just talk about some of your pro fights, but. just as you say that about Haney's, like, no, we're not here to explore, we're here for one thing.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy does not give a fuck, bro, because I know you get a rematch clause always, but he's taking the rematch clause back in Kambosos' hometown.
Yeah.
Usually after a win, a rematch clause would be back there.
Absolutely. You're the
Vegas
unified world champion.
He's like, I'll come back there and do it.
Yeah,
He's got no fear, bro.
Yeah, exactly. He was relentless.
Yeah, relentless, bro. And with you, because you had some relentless 3 pro fights, 6 months. I was at the first one, which was like, man, that wasn't an easy fight. The guy was like a mixed martial artist. Then your third fight, I was at.
Former world champions as well. Like he'd been around the block.
When you were coming out, he was laying on top of the ropes and shit. I'm like, this guy's fucking cocky ass.
It was good, man. I landed my shot. I did what I needed to do to win. You know what I mean? I knew it was going to be a hard fight. And I said, my management are amazing. And we've always said we don't want easy fights. Yeah. So like going back to the drawing board, it was just be smart. You know what I mean? Like with small gloves now, things change, man. You know, like I remember hitting him with the jab and I was like, whoa, that was quick. You know, like, that was quick. Or like difference, like say, for example, if you're catching shots, like you feel heat. Yeah. Like it's hot, you know what I mean? Like it's not in the amateurs, you got pillows on your hands. Now it's like you're getting heat with your cooking mittens.
You've partly answered this question, but I wanted to ask you what is the difference between a pro and amateur fight for you?
So
like, is it significantly different? Or is
I think what I do doesn't change.
Right.
But in terms of like, you have to be smart, man. There is no like, I could walk in on people and like catch shots and give 2 or 3, you know? But I like in the pros, it's like, you've just got to be smart, man. It takes one punch to like change the game, you know? Like you've got to be on it. Otherwise, you're not going to be, you know what I mean? Things could change in a split second in boxing. So it's about really just being smart, smarter than what you were previously, I guess.
Oh man, nowhere else. Yeah. Well, and also because I feel like, I don't know what you're like, but I feel like genuinely if I was a boxer, I would have huge ego around record. Like I'd love seeing the numbers. I'd love seeing it tilt my way. Is that big in your mind, or do you kind of try and distance yourself from that?
It does. It's in the back of my mind, but it's not the be all and end all.
That's good.
You know what I mean?
I feel like
for me, it's like I want good fights. I want people to know that I'm not ducking anyone or anything like that. It's more about getting the right fights. You know what I mean? I won't fight anyone just because I can knock out a taxi driver in the first round and build to 10-0, go overseas and get smoked. That's what a lot of Aussies had done that previously. They'll just fight anyone. And then when it comes to the big time fights, they're like, fuck, where's the pressure? Pressure's way too much. So if you build and you build and you build and you take the right fights, that kind of sits in the back of my mind. And it's about making the perfect bloody, you know, don't get me wrong. You don't want to make the perfect record. The perfect record doesn't exist. Obviously, Floyd Mayweather does, but like the perfect record to me is like, I don't want to be ever known I just took easy fights and I flogged everyone. And then when it comes to hard fights, you know what I mean? For me, Jason Mallia, people know that I'm taking fights that I need to take to build my record to get me where I want to be. It's not the be all and end all kind of thing. You know?
I don't think anyone can question your first 3 fights, but
I've had some
proper fights, man.
Yeah.
But for you, a couple more questions. Then we got one little segment that we do. But what's the end goal? Like for you, what?
I want to be a world champion, and I won't stop until I get there. You know what I mean? And like when people talk to me, man, I can say I want to be a world champion. I will be a world champion. You know, whether it's in a few years to come, I'm going to build. I'm going to get there. I know I will.
Yeah.
I've got the correct support team, the good coaching team, the strength team, my coaches. Shout out to all my coaches. Like, we've got one vision and that's that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know I'm not going to stop until I get there.
Bro, man didn't blink when he said that, bro. That's like, guy's talking real talk here, bro. The Maltese Oreo, bro. I'm ready to go in here, bro, after that.
That's it. Let's go, boy.
Let's go. Now, actually, I'm starting this segment. We're going to start off with you, but I'm picking 3 skill sets that I think are really critical to athletes in general, people in general, but athletes specifically that that's got you to where you are now, that's got you to the top. And I want you to pick one of these 3 that you think's been the most powerful for you. So we got drive, resilience, and ambition. Which one?
Resilience.
Resilience?
Yeah. Resilience for sure. Yeah. Like the shit that I've been through, it will never break me. Like it'll just create, it puts fire in the belly to be better. You know what I mean? Like I don't even have to think about it. I've been through some shit with boxing before, and I know there's probably going to be shit to come. But I will get there, and no matter how I get there, I know I will get there. You know what I mean? Like it can be, I don't know, man. Resilience is the big thing for me now. I've been through some shit with boxing, and it's just like it just makes me who I am.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So the one thing that I think about, like one day when I retire, man, I'm gonna write a book. You know what I mean? I always think about this is like my thing. I'm like gonna write the book, man. And this book's gonna be interesting because it's like adversity. You know what I mean? I actually read a quote the other day that said adversity is an investment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, like that just hit me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can go through what you go through, but you grow through what you go through.
Yeah.
You know?
Fucking nice, bro. Wow, man, it's been a pleasure Jason Mallia, man. I was there for your first fish. I'll be there for your next fight. I'm sure I'll be there for the last one, brother.
Last fish as well.
Yeah, that was the last one. But thank you for coming on, bro.
I appreciate you having me.